Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Fallen London. Today we're going to be carrying on with the exceptional story, The Path of Blood and Smoke. The fog draws in, thick and rancid. The dark shape of the emissary beside you is barely visible. Crumbling ruins and grasping stalagmites loom unannounced from the cloud. The only sign that you have reached a crossroads is the change in surface underfoot. The emissary's voice sounds far away. One of the old trials. Trials? Should you be prepared for peril? Peril? Certainly. He steps closer so that you can see each other through the cloying mist. He dips his head. There are perhaps some additional details of which I should appraise you. His composure is utterly unruffled. All I have said thus far is truth, just not quite the whole of it. The agents of the Priest Kings conduct their fell ritual at the end of the ancient road to Xibalba, one of the oldest of our tomb colonies. The way there is. It was not constructed to be simple. Many of the Priest King's trials may remain intact. This, I gather. And he sweeps a hand to accommodate the crossroads. Was the first. The future is never so simple as one would like, is it? The yellow limestone path you have followed thus far pales into nothing. Ahead of you, a crossroads is hewn into the neath rock, each fork a different colour. To the frigid north, a pair of white alabaster. East to the Z, a road of cinnabar red. And the pathway west is black and shiny, glittering like raven glass. Stalagmites grasp upwards all around the intersection, lining the roads with spikes. Deception is, regrettably, often necessary in this business. Some futures must be averted at all costs. Have you ever heard of Cassandra? The emissary chuckles, a low, dry sound. Let's inspect the stalagmites. There are irregularities at the tip of each spindly tooth. They tower stilt-like above the crossroads, glassy black stalagmites. You approach the jagged base of one, craning your neck upwards to peer through the murk at the distant tip. There is something carved into it, a slight stepped recess, a little hollow in the tip of the stalagmite into which you might comfortably nestle. If, that is, the hollow were not occupied by a body. These stalagmites are no mere spires. They are seats. They are thrones. They survey the crossing, severe and slanted, casting criss-cross shadows across the pitted rock. Black smoke curls around the spires, lending the air a dream-like, hazy quality. Our records say, the emissary is flipping through a notebook, that pilgrims to Xibalba should first greet its lords. So I can climb a stalagmite throne, get a good look at the unmoving figures ensconced there. We have a 0 chance of success, or we can insist that the emissary climb a throne. He is clearly expecting you to clamber up there into unknown peril. Well, you will not oblige. The 0% chance to succeed here is probably bad, but let's clamber up and see what happens. The stalagmites are spires of jagged neath stone, both slick as ice and sharp as knives. Even in attempting to find handholds to haul yourself up the face, you manage to graze your palm, your forearm, the inside of your shin. Red-black beads of blood form upon your skin. Next time you put your hand to the rock, it comes back smeared with your own lifeblood. The emissary's headdress sways as he turns his face upwards to watch you. Be careful. I cannot do this alone. There is a note of genuine worry in his voice, but this blood sacrifice upon the rock seems sufficient, and you reach the seat without further incident. A little trust can be a dangerous thing. The figure slumped within the tiny seat at the tip of the stalagmite is small and unthreatening, cowled in something scaled and half-rotted. Without the shroud of stature their towering seats afford them, the lords of the crossroad are robbed of much of their power. Let's pull back the hood and get a good look at this sleeping king. The scales of the hood come apart in your hands. The garment is half removed, half torn from the figure's head, and the figure's head tumbles from its neck. It bounces from the throne spire with a wooden thunk-thunk, right into the hands of the emissary below. The body creaks in its seat. It's a puppet, nothing but a wooden mannequin dressed up in Third City finery. This lord is nothing but an ancient sham. Peering through the gloom at the other thrones and armed with this knowledge, you can discern the truth of each of the figures. None are real. Made either of wood or clay, the occupants of these thrones are false, draped in mouldering regalia and set to watch over the crossroads in lieu of lords of flesh and blood. Let's look around for a clue. Perhaps there is something to be learned here still. Each puppet is arranged to point in one direction. Here the face is turned, there a finger outstretched, and over there the puppet's entire body is slanted. All of them point west. All of them point in the direction of the black road below, that dark stripe winding westwards into the murk. Let's descend the throne spire. Beneath you, the emissary has bent to examine some script at the base of one of the thrones. He still has the head under one arm, and is, improbably, laughing. Not so much a trial as a cruel joke, he smirks. Once you have descended, he guides your eye toward the carvings. I believe I've put it together. Here, pilgrims were commanded to greet the lords of Xibalba. A finger guides your eye over the round and shapely inscriptions. Thinking they were in the presence of the rulers of their city, they would prostrate themselves before the thrones. He surveys the head in his hands. Such was the priest-king's power that their subjects knelt and begged before mannequins for a chance at their favour. There is dark respect to his tone. This was how they preferred to rule, in darkness and deception. They preferred their subjects humiliated, diminished. We shall press onwards. A choice of roads lies before you. All that remains is to make it. The roads disappear into sulphurous fog a few feet from their crossings. Behind you, the yellow road upon which you arrived is almost apiece with the murk. Only one of these roads will lead to Xibalba and the emissary's dread prophecy. The puppet lords up on their throne spires all point in one direction, west, along the road as black as Ravenglass. So they seem to want me to go west, deeper inland, the road watched by all the puppet lords of the crossroads. But we could also take the red road, east, back towards the waiting Untersee. Or we could take the white road, north, further into the cold. I am tempted to go north, just to see what happens. You begin to walk down the alabaster road, graphic carving swimming out of the fog beneath your feet. The lace-wrapped emissary follows behind, his footsteps muffled by the murk. The stone is luminous underfoot, a path of milk building itself out of the mist, and as you walk further and further, the road becomes ever more indistinguishable from the ice white around you. Your foot meets empty air, falling through the white below. A moment of confusion, and then the landscape realigns in your mind. By the time you realize how well hidden this icy crevasse is, you have already begun a stomach-lurching fall into its unshadowed maw. Then, a jolt, a sharp, sudden pull at your back. Your feet scrabble for purchase on the precipice's icy lip. The emissary has grabbed the scruff of your neck, arresting your fall, and pulls you backwards with surprising strength. You land heavily on the road, mercifully solid beneath you. "I suppose this was the wrong way," he says. Damn. Let's try to take the red road back towards the undersea. I want to do everything but take the black road. The road is vibrant red, engraved with scenes of flight and chase. Avian imagery dominates. Great crimson slabs adorned with feathers and wings, each block of stone depicting a great victory. The lace-wrapped emissary is very interested in the bloodiest scenes and lags behind as you walk. A sickening lurch, the rumble crash of stone scraping stone. The road underfoot slants dramatically as huge swathes of it tilt and fracture. You throw yourself backwards just as the slab beneath your feet gives way to a dark tremor, falling down through the fog and shattering thunderously onto the invisible rocks below. "I suppose this way is the wrong way," he says. "I don't think I have much of a choice. I need to take the black road, west, deeper inland, the road watched by all the puppet lords." Heading west upon the black road, you descend into a mirrored trench, passing underneath the foul fog of the crossroads. Soon it becomes clear that the black, glassy road is not something embedded into the ground. It has bubbled up from below, a vast flow of ancient raven glass into which a flat channel has been carved. It shimmers beneath the false stars like dark water. A deep and frozen river forced from the rock by violent tectonics. The chasm that forms this road is uneven and rough. Knife edges are everywhere. Flat planes of glass conceal razored shards. Perfect daggers flake away beneath your palm, as if the landscape itches to be weaponized. "Most of the raven glass in the Neath is mined from here," says the lace-wrapped emissary. "They send workers from Venderblight to chip it away, when they can be spared from constructing the Santoria. So we can either begin our careful pilgrimage, if the emissary is to be believed. There is no time to lose. I can talk to the emissary. He is a strange and gnomic conversation partner, but he is all you've got. Or we can turn back, enough of this bleakness, back along the Ravenglass Road towards the clipper that brought you here, away from your companion and his bleak, distant future. Let's talk to the emissary. The lace-wrapped emissary is a spot of calm among the black landscape's teeth and fury. He glides among the blades like a dancer, always finding safe ground, always avoiding sharp points and sharper edges, his hands clasped behind his back. He seems content to walk in silence, but inclines his head in casual acceptance of your questions, provided, always, that the onward progression does not halt. Shall we confront him about his deceptions? When you were enlisted to stop a cataclysmic prophecy, you utterly failed to mention that the path included an array of ancient trials. Do you know how often people heed warnings of the apocalypse? A low laugh, backed by no amusement at all. The only futures anybody wishes to hear predict encounters with tall, dark, and handsome strangers. He taps his chin for a short while. Quiet. My point is thus. Sometimes, in pursuit of a grander goal, deception is necessary. Somewhere to your left, a scree of black glass cracks and tinkles down a slope, disturbed by something unseen. The song of broken glass is like laughter. We can inquire about Xibalba. The name has come up more than once. Once it was just another tomb colony. But after the third fell into ruin and disrepair, the priest kings took it for their own. The emissary adjusts his gloves. After that, the people called it Xibalba, the place of fright. A note of awe creeps into his voice. A hand flexes acquisitively. It's lost now, hidden by the arts of the priest kings, a dark haven for them and their faithful. I can grill him on the copper, your supposed opposition on this shared quest. Agents of the priest kings, the emissary shrugs. Beads of cinnabar and jade clink against copper discs. Hope you do not meet them. Seems fair. I can declare my mistrust of his methods, a niggling feeling in the back of your head, or a screaming dislike of the man. Your reasons are your own. His mouth quirks downward, and the beads on his headdress clink against each other. Trust me, or do not. We are on this path together. He regards the Ravenglass Road with his habitual serenity. I'll be blunt with you. I do not need your trust, merely your presence. But regardless of your feelings, I will do what I can to keep you safe until we reach our goal. Okay, can I draw my attention to the wounds I have? Try as you might, this little pilgrimage is leaving a trail of blood in its wake. On the surface, priests of the third city engaged in ritual bloodletting. The body was pierced with ravenglass knives, or shark teeth, or stingray spines, and the blood collected on a mate, then burned into smoke. This way their blood could nourish their deities. The emissary speaks in a tone of a school teacher, although this is not knowledge found in any classroom. The archives of the Santoria must be deep indeed. After the fall, well, perhaps those that consume gods get a taste for godly meals. Be careful. To them, especially here, every wound is an offering. He points out an especially sharp outcropping and a way to dodge its blades. Let's return to our focus to the road, I guess, before its knives taste you once again. So should I be avoiding hurting myself? Well, 50% chance. Let's just begin our careful pilgrimage. Let's see where it goes. The black road has a sheen, a fluid ripple that belies its propensity to slip apart into knife-sharp blades. Its concordial undulations unfold into the mist of the northern colonies, the illusion of fluidity broken by jagged spires that jut like the teeth of the snares. Your progress is calculated, but the landscape is fierce and hungry. Your movements are paid for in small scrapes and abrasions, in the tiny crimson droplets beading upon your palms, your knees, your elbows. The emissary appreciates your haste. You are making good time. He does not have any difficulties with the landscape himself. Behind you, where blood touches the road, Thin wisps of smoke curl upwards. It is treacherous going. Plates of black glass shift and fracture underfoot. Your every footstep creating extra blades upon which to injure yourself. As you walk, the walls of raven glass to each side grow in height and sheen. The road is leading you ever so slightly down. When you reach a cliff, a sharp drop of bladed glass glinting hungrily in the false starlight, the road continuing below. The emissary is unfazed. We need to go down. He offers a soft gloved hand to help lower you. We have a few options here. We can accept his hand. A little cooperation may stop you from impaling yourself on the black rock. I can refuse help and clamber down myself. You would rather not have your bodily health at the mercy of a so-called prophet with bandages over his eyes. Or you can offer to help the emissary descend first. Good deed, perhaps, or simply a way to put the emissary in your debt. Regardless, he shall descend first, and you shall follow. Or we can talk to the emissary, which we've already done. Should we just accept his hand and trust him? I don't know how I feel about him. Let's trust him for now. The lace-wrapped emissary's grip is surprisingly strong. There's barely a hint of strain as he leans over the edge, carefully lowering you down the jagged black incline. Even so, you must be careful. You search for reliable footholds and stable outcroppings upon which to rest your free hand. When your skin makes contact with the glass, there is a black jolt in your mind, a movement towards you, as if you are in deep water and your presence sensed by a hungry leviathan. Foolish to trust, survive only through your own strength. To rely upon others is to die a slow death. For a dizzying moment you are possessed of a deep and urgent certainty that the emissary is about to drop you, and that you will fall, wounded and bloodied upon the sharpness below. And then the moment passes, that wave of black doubt recedes, and you are down upon solid ground once more. Interesting. The emissary descends with startling fluidity, transversing the knife-sharp incline as if it were nothing more troublesome than an unevenly cobbled alleyway. "Come," he says. "Something we will need lies close at hand." He stalks off through the black. In his priestly robes, he looks oddly at home amidst the glass. We can enter a squat stone temple. It rises stark from the black glass road, a tiered complex of greying stone blocks. The first thing you notice upon entering the little temple is the knife. It is impossible to notice anything else. It lies on an elevated altar, gleaming white as new cracked bone, bright with the promise of sharpness. Beside you, the emissary runs his finger over the beads of his headdress, in benediction or in warding. He does not seem surprised to see the blade. Indeed, he nods, as if noting down an expectation met. Should we examine the knife, or should we look around the temple? Let's examine the knife. It is such a tiny thing, and yet so monumental. Up close, the blade is one of white, banded flint, knapped to razor sharpness my ancient hands. The haft is wrought from copper and pearl, metal reaching up to cradle the stone blade. At the guard, where metal and flint meet, the copper is shaped into a pneumore of a big cat, many speckled and sharp-toothed. The blade itself, a bright and razored roar emerging from its mouth. Flaky stains of something rust-black linger on the cutting edge. Blood. "A ritual blade for the priest kings," says the emissary. essential for their rights. For a moment it seems that is the end of it, and he waves a hand. Or for stopping them. I had hoped it would be here. Let's look around the temple. It is a humble resting place for such a striking object. The tiered temple complex is constructed of great steps of neath stone. The walls are thicker even than they appeared from without. It is cramped in here, narrowing up to a corbelled arch so that you cannot quite stand comfortably. Moss blooms across the damp stone, forest black, creeping along floors, along walls, defying gravity and spreading across the ceiling slabs. Only the altar is clear of moss, clear of any kind of foulness at all. The stone shines as if polished, while the floor beneath your feet is stained with drip water and time. The altar is clean and bright. This place has seen regular upkeep. The lace-wrapped emissary approaches the altar with his palms outstretched. There is something reverential in his bearing, or perhaps it is simply wariness. Whatever the sentiment, he is moving to pick up the white flint blade from its altar-top resting place. So we can either let the emissary take the blade, he is, after all, the expert in prophecy prevention, and a workman requires his tools, or we can take the blade ourselves. Perhaps you believe yourself a more capable fighter. Perhaps you simply want to be the one holding the knife. I'm going to let him take the knife. I'm putting a lot of faith in this man. I'm sure it's not going to be a good idea. His soft kid gloves brush the haft and then clench in a quick and violent motion. A vein throbs in his neck and tendons leap against his skin. A thin whine escapes his lips, the desperate noise of a strangled beast. The moment passes. The lace-wrapped emissary shudders and flexes his wrist, the white dagger in his palm catching the light. Relics of the priest kings are potent, is all he says. You cannot see his eyes, but you are sure his gaze lingers on the knife for a long time afterwards. The altar is drab and naked. The walls seem closer, the temple smaller without the dagger at its heart. The emissary's hand retreats into his robe and returns without the dagger, secreting it within some hidden inner sheath. I shall watch over the blade. We will need it for the trials ahead. We can return to the Ravenglass Road. The emissary ducks through the little temple's door. We have far yet to travel. But before we continue down this road, I think this is where I shall end this episode. So thank you all very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Your comments are greatly appreciated. Thank you again to the members of the channel. It really is a great way to support the channel and help me keep making these videos. But as always, I'll see you next time.